Have you ever asked yourself what it really takes for silver stackers to be winners? I mean, you think about it, and every other asset class, stocks, crypto, any other commodity, there's always a clear winning condition with any of them. Think of stocks. When the stock market's going through the roof, people are, overjoyed, big institutions love it, and money just flows into the stock market. Same thing with crypto. Now, for myself, I think a lot of the glory days of crypto have kind of gone by the wayside, primarily because a lot of the big names obviously are significantly more expensive than what they were. And so the value proposition of buying into them, things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's very unlikely that they, go parabolic like they did before. Now, that being said, think about silver, think about gold. Do you really see a day coming where they're really in fiat terms, valued at those astronomical prices? To me, probably not. And it's mainly because, again, think of silver, think of all the industrial uses. If it went through the roof, then everything that we, purchase for, durable electronic goods is off the table. We wouldn't be able to afford it. So it doesn't make any sense, since that's where the demand comes from. Now, you've seen many times the ill-fated attempts, the silver squeeze, the silver raid, other, modern attempts, not the Hunt brothers, but modern attempts to push up silver price, and it just doesn't work. Silver and gold just stay in a range for whatever reason, whether that means that they're, manipulated in some way or not. It is what it is. That is the game that they play. Now, if that were to change, if something were to change where silver and gold did skyrocket in price, does that make silver stackers winners right off the bat? I mean, you ask most silver stackers and they're not going to sell no matter the price, which is kind of crazy, right? I mean, everything should have its price at some point. Not my morals. Yes, your morals too. Just kidding. But no, most things are going to have a price of some sort. So the same should be true of your silver. Now, again, if you're not selling, what's the point? You can't take it with you. If you pass it down, your kids are going to sell it, your wife's going to sell it, her new husband's going to sell it. Someone's going to end up selling. So you should probably have some type of idea of, at what price it goes out the door. But again, is it about price for stackers? Or is it more about the SHTF scenario where, you've been proven right that fiat was going to fail and that, the dollar's gone by the wayside? Is that the winning scenario for silver and gold? It's not something that anybody really wants to see, no matter how much they hype it up. Oh, the SHTF, get ready. You can't get your hands on silver and gold. No, you can absolutely get your hands on silver and gold. The same parrots singing the same songs. It's just become ridiculous at this point. Every time, something happens, the online dealers are ready and willing to accept your order. It's really just disingenuous. Now, that, again, leads back to the question, what is the victory condition for metals? At what point do you really call it, hey, you know what, I was right, it did everything that I thought it was going to do? Either the hype or the FOMO all came true. Is that what does it? Is it the SHTF? Is it, again, a skyrocketing price point? Or is it that it served you along the way? That it helped you save money along the way that you turned and actually met goals with? Oh, I saved for the down payment of my house with, silver and gold. Why? Why did it work? It probably didn't appreciate much. Now, everyone who talks about metals, especially these days, talks about pre and post pandemic. Now, the pandemic, hopefully there's not another one on the way, but those kind of things are few and far between as far as relying on them for a big jump in spot. Now, again, I mean, ever since then, it's been stuck in a range, mostly falling from the peaks. And again, considering that, the massive inflation that we had, silver just not, it's just not performing how you think it would in a high inflation environment. Now, again, you can make what you want of the initial jump that it had during the pandemic. Fear play, shortages of commodities, whatever it was, thinking that that's going to continue to be the case. Is it true? I don't know, but I'd probably guess that it's not. Moving forward, the big thing is, if that's the case, again, what is the value proposition from, silver and gold? If it does help you meet your goals by saving, which I personally think it's phenomenal at, saving money and these kind of things, it, again, like everything, pros and cons, right? You're underwater 20% off the bat, so there's a price to be paid. But if it can help you not spend your money on stupid crap, yeah, there's value there. There's value there. You know, I guess it depends on the person. You know, that value may be more than others for certain things. But I will say that it is very good for that. Especially, you know, not the generic bullion. Generic bullion is very easy to sell. You know, if you have eagles or maples and you're like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about buying this or that, you're probably not going to shed a tear over getting rid of your, you know, your Britannias. But that being said, if you have nicer bullion, it's going to make it that much harder. But again, what's the price of that? The price is that on the front end, you're going to pay for it a little more. Everything has a purpose. Silver and gold can meet a lot of those different goals and a lot of those different purposes. But you have to think of those things on the front end, because if you fall into the trap of the fear and FOMO and you're constantly looking for what is silver's price, what is silver price, who in the world's thinking about silver price? You know, who wakes up thinking about, oh my God, what is silver? Let me check Yahoo Finance. It's actually pretty funny. I also wonder to myself how people even find out about silver and gold. A lot of it is word of mouth, and a lot of it is the fear and FOMO word of mouth, like, oh, I'm putting my money into physical silver and gold. Yeah, that's a really good idea. And then you see the, you know, the normal people get screwed paying high premiums or falling for the infomercials, you know, late at night. For me, I mean, honestly, watching those infomercials on cable about, you know, the double eagle and the blah, 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 they captivate you, right? You don't know anything about silver and gold, and you're like, you know what, that sounds pretty cool. Like, even if you're not into the stacking or wealth preservation or the SHTF, you know, it is pretty cool to own gold. Who doesn't like gold, right? Silver, not so much, but gold for sure. So you can imagine all of the people that falls, you know, prey for overpriced bullion. It happens every day, and it doesn't just happen to them, it happens to you and me as well. That's the key. That is the key. You have to ask yourself right now, a question that no one's asking right now is, am I overpaying for bullion? When was the last time that you heard anyone say, I'm overpaying at this spot price? Like, gold and silver are not worth this amount. I can't even remember the last time I've heard that. You know, it's funny because other things, you know, people will say that. A car, it's not worth that much. You know, whatever, alcohol, it's not worth that much. You know, why am I going to buy premium stuff? I can buy a Costco brand. It's the same. Everything else, people will come at it and say it's not worth that. But with metals, they never make that argument. Now, again, some of you right off the bat, of course they wouldn't make that argument because it's God's money and it has a history and it has a track record. You can't say it's not worth whatever they tell you it's worth. Why? Why is that the case? Doesn't that sound kind of nuts to you when you think about it like that? Like, just because, you know, it was something in the past that it's not anymore, why does that mean that it can't, you know, that it can't be overpriced? Think about that. Let that sink in. You don't hear about that. You never hear that kind of pushback on silver and gold. For some reason, it's always treated as like, okay, that's just the price it is. Is it? Why? Why? And how do I know to measure what it's really worth? Realistically, what is the real measure of what silver and gold are worth? You tell me.